I am so excited to dive into today's conversation on Rebel Radio. I've got my new friend, Emily Robinson, here, all the way from Australia. It is bright and early in the morning for you, Emily. Thank you for being here and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's awesome.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do in the world, and how you're making a difference in the world.
Super. Well, I'm Emily and I'm the founder of Intuitive Parents, Intuitive Kids, or IPIK project. I help families reconnect with their superpower, their intuition. So I really work with parents and their kids, and I help them to really go back to what's important, what's on the inside, listening to their inner voice and actually being able to create the reality they actually want, instead of living in this world where we're just bombarded with what we have to do, what we should do. Especially as a parent, there's all these parameters around the shoulds and have tos and trying to keep up. And I was one of them. I did that. And I learned very quickly that it wasn't serving me. It wasn't serving my kids. And I really wanted to create this opportunity for other families to get out of the chaos and find the calm and realize that you actually can create this incredible life of connection and love in your family unit. And I see so many families that have these children that are getting older with a lot of anxiety and stress and pressure. And we see it where children just pull away. Like now they're into their gaming and they're into all these things where there's just so much disconnection. So really, IPIK was born out of my own experiences. I guess my backstory, I'm actually from the UK. So I grew up in the UK. I had the most incredible childhood. I lived with my parents, my three brothers, and my grandparents. And we lived on this little property with animals, and we had land, and it was just amazing. But I found myself still pushing all the time. And I think one of my stories was about being successful, being seen. And I think because I was the eldest of four children, that there was always this feeling that in order to be recognized, if I was good and I did the right thing, it would really, show that I was good enough. And so I had this story and I pushed in everything I did. I was a high academic achiever, and, I kind of traveled the world at 18, and I created my first business when I was in my 20s. And eventually I actually became really sick. I made myself really, really unwell. And it was this massive light bulb moment of, making a choice about life, going, you're really going to push yourself beyond what's possible, or you need to stop and realize that you have a choice, and you can make choices in alignment with really how you feel inside, instead of trying to prove all this stuff on the outside. So I actually met my husband, he's Australian, when I was traveling, when I was a teenager. And now, we live in Australia in this really small outback community in the middle of nowhere with my three children, our dog, lots of chickens. And we have this incredible life. And I'm probably more busy than I ever was living in the UK, but I am not stressed anymore. And I have this incredible lifestyle with my family, my friends, and just there's so much space in my life, even though I'm so busy still. Like I have a lot going on. I actually homeschool my three kids. I run my business. I obviously look after the house and the property. So there's a lot going on in my life, but everything's in flow. I'm really in that lovely space of just, it all just happens.
Oh, I love that so much. There's a couple of pieces to that story. The first is how crucial it is that our kids learn these things. If I always think back of if I had learned this when I was young, right? And we're moving into 30s and 40s, and we're like, oh man, I got to figure this out now after having all of that programming. But to teach our kids at such a young age to be in touch with their intuition, I think I was just covered in goosebumps when you were talking about that, because I think it's so important. And the other piece that you talked about was flow. This is so key to self-mastery and understanding that, yes, you can be really busy, but you can be loving every minute of it and be an absolute devotion to your life and not be stressed out. It's when you're busy and you're stressed out and you're doing stuff that you don't love that it creates that blockage that so many of us get caught up in. So I love those two pieces. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that's so important, I reckon. And I think my journey into, I was listening to Michael Bryan's interview the other day, and I loved something he said in there about how you can have so many different niches, you know, like you don't have to have just this one straight path. And my life in the UK was actually, I was a qualified animal behavior specialist, and I worked as a lecturer for teaching animal science, basically, and animals were my passion. And I was just so, I really didn't want anything to do with people. I was like, no, I just want to work with animals. Let's avoid all this yucky stuff. I don't want to deal with people's crap. And that's what I did. I built a business around animal healing and working with animals and energy. And then I realized, oh, animals have owners, and really the animal's problem is the owner's problem. Damn it, now I have to work with the owner. And I was like, oh. And as my business has evolved, I then left that when I moved to Australia and started working with people, and that was incredible. And then I was like, oh, but these people were children once. And actually, if I could, this massive light bulb about my own stories and how exactly what you said, you know, if I had had these tools when I was a child, I wouldn't be unpicking all of these limiting beliefs and these deficiency stories about myself. Now I could do that for them today. Like they could learn these skills and these tools right now and actually be able to harness their own energy and what they want to do, and understand that, you know, these emotions aren't bad. They're just a learning curve and a way of giving us feedback about what we should be doing. That, well, listening to our heart, not our shoulds, but you know what I mean, going with the flow. It's just incredible. I just love it. And I think when I made the step to take my eldest son out of school, it was like this massive fear moment, standing on that cliff, like, is this the right decision? Is actually, can I even do this? Can I even be a homeschooling parent? Like, how am I going to live my life? Like, if my children are at home? And it was just the most incredible journey. And someone gave me the best advice I'll never forget. They just said, what's the worst that will happen? Just give it a go. What's the worst that will happen? And I was like, well, the worst that will happen is probably that it doesn't work out and he goes back to school. Like, that's the worst. And I was like, well, that's okay. Yeah.
That's manageable.
That's what we did. And it just, one thing after another, just became this journey for us, this evolution of learning to embrace the whole as a family and school, and doing all of the learning, you know, the academic, the energy work, the understanding of mindfulness. It just became a lifestyle. And I was like, oh my God, everybody could do this. Everybody could have this opportunity to actually live in this way, even if your kids are at school, it doesn't matter. But just being able to balance both sides of that coin. You know, and I didn't know if it was going to work, but when it did, and it's just become my life, like, I just love it. It's my passion, and I just enjoy sharing this with other families. It's just been incredible. And it's all through my own kids and my own experiences, and really unhooking those stories, like you said, and being able to show them that right now at this age, you can grow up knowing all this stuff. You know, how awesome would that be?
Right? Oh my gosh, no kidding. No kidding. So before we went live on this show, I shared a little bit of your numerology with you. And I'm curious, what was one of your biggest takeaways, or what was the biggest impact of me sharing that with you?
So I'm an 8 energy, and I just loved the confirmation. I love things like that. I know that in my life I have this ability to manifest things, and it was such a great reminder for me of where your focus is. That's where your energy is, and that's where you create. And I love that we're not always doing it right, and we're not always getting it right, but having that ability to perceive and see and know that, oh, that doesn't feel good. Oh, look, I have manifested these things that weren't actually on my path. So that energy of, yes, going in the direction, being able to manifest is great, but where are you putting your attention? If you're sitting in the fear zone, you're probably attracting things that aren't in alignment. And it's just so perfect for me at the moment. Just, that reminder. So good.
I love that. And that kind of leads me into my next question about self-mastery, because I think when we're focused on the things that we want, that's a level of self-mastery. But everybody has a different definition of self-mastery. So I'm curious what you think self-mastery is.
I absolutely loved this question because I had to really sit with it and go, oh, wow, what does that actually mean to me? And what I came up with was self-mastery to me is becoming my own best friend. Like actually, I spent so many years trying to fix a part of myself that I thought was broken. For years, I was, in therapy, trying to work out what is my problem? Like, why can't I just be normal? And I really felt like I just couldn't find the answer. And in the last kind of 2 years, I've really come to this complete flip on the mental health framework that nothing about us is wrong. And if we can just sit quietly with ourselves and feel the feels, like, oh my God, I feel angry and I am just in fear right now, and we can sit with that, then you can actually get to the worst case scenario. You can actually just drop down and sit there and go, yeah, this is really, really scary and I don't think I can cope, and oh my God, I'm going to be a failure and this is just never going to work for me. And you sit with it and you love it and you embrace it and you go, wow, oh, okay, that's the worst. That's the bottom of where I'm going to get to with this. And over the past 18 months, this incredible evolution of healing has just come out of me. And I've created this thing called the soul resonance alignment method. And it's these 3 really simple steps to help people actually stop trying to fix themselves. Like the old healing as a therapist, my therapist hat, it was all about, let's process this, let's help you shift it, let's let go of your problems. And I feel like it just exacerbates everything because you're just constantly moving your crap from one area to another, to another, to another, like it just doesn't go anywhere. And you feel like, well, that didn't work and I'm just back in the same old rut. And this method it's so simple. You just sit with the stuff and you let it be there. Yeah. And then you just learn to raise your vibration and recognize that, oh, if I just sit in this kind of bottom crappy, literally scraping the barrel and just be in it, and then lift the vibration and realize, wow, I'm actually just a being of love and light that is having this crappy experience. But if I can see it from a higher perspective, that, oh, it's just I talk about it as Velcro, like here is the bottom feelings in your body. And then we attach all these stories. And when you can create space in between and see, oh, these are just words and pictures, and they don't control me. Like they're just these things in my body, and I have feelings in my body. They're 2 separate things. You can alchemize that so quickly. And so for me, self-mastery is just allowing all of it, being my best friend, like actually just sitting in this space of, it's okay. I don't have to fix this bit. I'm not broken. It's just an experience I've had. And that's just revolutionized my way of being. I now teach that. I share that with my clients. Like everything is built around this framework because it just allows people to see how incredibly powerful they are without digging through the story. Like the story's not important. It's how you feel.
Oh, I love that so much. It makes me want to cry. I can feel the tears rising up because, as human beings, we're meant to feel the full spectrum of emotion, but we have been trained by society to numb it, dumb it, feed it, drug it, alcohol it, Netflix it, all the things, and shove it under the carpet and pretend it doesn't exist. And emotion is just energy in motion. And if we give ourselves permission to just sit with it for 15 minutes, it moves, it goes away. And I think it's just so important for us as a society to know that not one single human being on this planet is broken. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just emotion. That's all it is. Oh, so good. I can feel the tears coming from that. Thank you for sharing that. Being my own best friend. That's such a good definition. I love it. So another thing we like to talk about at Rebel Radio is this idea of wealth, which is also a word that nobody really knows how to define because it's different for everybody. So I would love to know what your definition of wealth is.
For me, wealth is, I guess, just pure joy and happiness. Like being in this incredible space of flow, like we talked about before, and just loving everything about life, yourself, your family, you know, being able to be in that space of just connection. And, you know, we know those feelings where we're in push and we're really, you know, treading in that hamster wheel. And to me, that's not wealth. You can have all the money in the world or everything, you know, all the possessions, everything you think you want. But when you're in that space and you're really just going round and round, and like I said, I did that. I lived that life in the UK and it made me incredibly unwell. And it wasn't wealthy. You know, people probably outside looked and thought, oh my God, Em's got all her shit together. She totally nails it. You know, she can do this, she can do that. But the reality is it was a mask, you know, it was a front. And I still catch myself falling into the old pattern. And that's where I sit now and I go, oh, okay, what's going on here? What's the story coming up? What's this feeling underneath that is driving this behavior? And it just, you know, for me, wealth is just being able to do that, to be able to sit with myself and go, oh, that's right. I am just this incredible high vibration energy that has all the power they need within. And to me, that's wealth. Sitting in that space, being connected with that is, I don't think, what else could you really want? Like, what else would be better than that?
Right? Yeah, I agree. I love that so much. And yeah, you know, money is just a side effect of that feeling. And if we focus on that feeling, then everything that we want comes into our physical reality. I love that so much. So here comes the one truth questions that everybody loves on this show. What is one truth that you wish every entrepreneur knew?
The truth for me is that you are enough, that everything is within you. Yeah. There is nothing more that you need than what is within when you can just be in that quiet space. And that's why, for me, your intuition is your superpower. It literally is. You can do anything when you can tap into that feeling, when you can just listen. If everybody understood that, if everybody understood that the mind chatter and the societal, you know, expectations is just external to self and has no control over what you really truly want to do, then we would all be incredible, you know, superheroes.
Right.
Literally, you know, and that's what I want our kids to learn. I want our kids to grow up knowing that they have choices, not that we say, oh, but yeah, I can't do that because there's the story. Yeah. Well, actually, you can do that. You have choice. You could choose not to, or you can choose to change your story and do it differently. But whichever way you go, they are both choices. Even if you're telling me, well, I can't do that because, you know, so-and-so said, or because I have to, well, hang on, that's a choice right there. And it's not about saying either choice is right or wrong. It's just about holding space for that and allowing yourself to make the choice that feels most aligned. And sometimes we have to make choices that we don't really want to do. It's not like my life, I never have to do things I don't want to do. That would just be totally unhuman. But it's, you know, that feeling of going, oh, damn, I've overcommitted and I've said I'm going to do these things. And now I'm in the position where I've realized that I have two choices. I either say, you know what, I'm really, really sorry. I've overcommitted and I can't do this. Or I hold the space and go, damn it, I've overcommitted, but I'm going to make the choice to follow this through. That's a choice. I don't have to, but I'm choosing that I'm not going to let these people down, even though I recognize this isn't in my best interest, but I'm going to do it because I feel like that's the right thing in this situation. But both of them are choices.
I love that. And I feel like there's another choice in that too. And if you do choose to follow through and do the thing you said you were going to do, you can choose to love it anyways. Or you can choose to go through it and be like, oh, this sucks and I don't want to do this. That's also a choice, right? I love that. Everything is a choice. Everything.
Yeah,
so good.
That's so amazing.
So I want to thank you for being on the show. I could talk to you all day long about this stuff. As everybody knows, I want to talk about self-mastery and wealth all day long. But I really want to thank you for being on the show, Emily. Thank you so much. And as always, we end the show with one last question. What do you dream of for the world?
Oh, wow. Such a powerful question. I guess my dream for the world is that everybody grows up with this knowledge deep within them that we have this superpower, we have this intuition that is not special to anybody. You know, I'm not gifted because I can use my intuition. We're all, you know, have this incredible gut instinct. We know what feels aligned for us. We've just forgotten. And I guess my big vision for the world is that we all learn to tap into that, to live our best life, to be completely aligned with our own truth. And imagine what the world would look like if our kids grow up like that and society lives like that. You know, I can say, oh, I'd love for the planet to be healed, and I'd love for, you know, all these really dense frameworks and you know, energies in the world at the moment, all this control to kind of fall apart. But that will happen if we can all just step into our truth and live from this incredible inner space, and just go with what feels aligned, you know, and putting that forward.
So good. Capes for everyone, because we all have a superpower.
Yeah, love it.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show, Emily. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Cindy. It's been